G'day, welcome back. I'd especially like to welcome my new subscribers. I hope you enjoy the content on my channel. If you missed the last video, the vice repair, it's up there now, you can go watch that first. This video will be kind of a continuation of the workshop improvements, if you like. For quite a while now I've been considering trying to mount the camera up there somewhere. Just hang it, you know, so I don't trip over the tripod all the time, because that's what I used to do, with the limited space I had. So follow me over here and I'll show you where we're at the starting point of all of this. Alrighty, so the other day I was having a cruise around on Lazada looking to see what I could find at a reasonable price for something to mount the camera on that it can be adjusted and moved around, and I came across this. Now, it's originally meant for mounting mobile phones and tablets. It'll handle a tablet, and it was normally about 250 baht, which is about 10 Aussie dollars. It's no big deal, but it was on special for about 150, so I'll have that. It's actually reasonably sturdy, and it opens up like this. It opens up a fair way, so it'll hang down a long way. It has this ball for an adjuster on it, and comes with this thing here originally, and the ball mounts in the back, and you can open it up to spring loaded. Yeah, spring loaded. Just open it up, mount your phone or your tablet or whatever in there, but it won't fit my camera. So a good friend of mine, an American guy who is an ex-military pilot, but he dabbles in all sorts of rubbish at the moment. Well, not rubbish, but he does what he does, and I do what I do. But he's developing a flight simulator for fighter jets, and he has a 3D printer, and he wants me to do a little something for him. So I said, okay, I'll do your swap. You print me up something to mount on here that I can put the camera on, and I will do the little job for you. We'll just do a straight swap. So he's agreed to do that. So I'm going to call around his place. I went around his house yesterday and we worked it all out. It was going to take 6 hours to print a little L-shaped thing for here, and then a cap for the back to retain it. Was going to take another 2 hours. But he let me know yesterday afternoon that the first part had sort of completed. It had moved on the plate, but he said he thinks it might be usable, so I'm going to go around and see him. I don't want to put him through another 6-hour print if it's usable. We'll get into it and we'll try to mount that up on there. Now, the next thing is another friend of mine, a Norwegian guy, which I've been building a website for over 3 years now, to go with a book an autobiography that he's writing. He had some solar panels fitted to his roof recently, and he said there's a whole pack of extruded aluminium that they use for mounting the solar panels left over at his house. And he's offered them up to me for nothing, so I'm going to call around and grab a couple of those and we'll mount them up in the ceiling. But we'll see how it all goes. Alrighty, so our first attempts at printing up this bracket have been a failure. He said what happened was it moved on the plate, and it didn't quite finish printing. So here's the bit that didn't quite finish printing. Which side was this side here, I think, not sure. But anyway, what happened was it moved slightly like that, and it didn't take, and it had a little step in this side here, and I said, oh, it doesn't matter, I don't care. Anyway, when I put these two parts together with the ball like this, it wasn't quite, it didn't have a big enough gap in it, and what I decided to do was just to stick a piece of cloth back tape in here to see if it would pack out enough to be able to clamp this down properly so that the ball would be tight in there when it's not quite loose. And I had it clamped in the vise, and I was just working the ball down. I stuck a bit of tape in there. I was just working the ball in it like that, pushing down on it. Next thing, it just went bang and snapped off. So I've been back over to see him, and he's raised this up about 1 millimetre, and he said he pulled the whole printer apart this morning and found some loose bits and pieces in there, so he's tightened it all up and then ran a small print job, and he said nothing moved. So he's going to have another crack at this, but he said because of the changes we've made to it, it's going to take 7.5 hours this time, so I'll be back there later today to grab that. Alrighty, so I've been out to my mates and picked up these extrusions, and they're plenty long enough to reach across the top here. I've got two other shorter pieces you can see over leaning against the wall over the back. I was hoping they'd span between the purlins, but they're just a little bit too short. But I'll take one over to the bench and show you what I've got in mind. Alrighty, so this is the profile I'm looking at. this you might not be able to see it, but this has a little return back up on inside each edge there. So what I'm thinking is I'll make up some wheels, or I might even go and see my mate and see if he'll print me up 4 little plastic wheels and make a carriage that sits up into here with the 4 wheels on it that will roll backwards and forwards up through here, and then put a stem down here that I can attach that arm to and something to lock it up with, so that you just wheel into position, just lock it into position where I want it, and that'll be that. I think that's the easiest way to go about it. Alrighty, so I had to dig through what material I've got here and found this piece, and I reckon that'll do nicely for the carriage. So what I'm going to do is just take a quick cut off the top. I'll work out how much I need to take off each side and how deep to go, and so there'll be a wheel each side here like that, run up and down inside. Now these are those new parallels that I bought, or Santa brought me. A bit longer, they're 6 inch and there's only a 4 inch vise, but I haven't finished mounting that up in there yet, and they're a bit loose, so we'll sort that out before I start machining it. Alrighty, that ain't going anywhere. Let's get this happening. That was a 0.8 radius tip, and that is absolutely fabulous finish on there. Beautiful. Alright, so I take some more measurements and get the edge finder out and sort all the rest of it out. Alrighty, I don't have a centre finding option on these little things, so I've just got to write it down. Alrighty, so I've just set it up, done a couple of test cuts, marked the top of roughly where I want to be so I can get an idea of where I need to be. Not rely solely on these DROs, because they can let me down. And so I'll fire it up, see how we go. Alrighty, so I've left myself 1mm to go down and 0.1 to come back this way as a finish pass. Well, I won't make you sit through the other side because it's just same shit, different side. Alrighty, so that's that part of it done. Just knock those edges off a little bit. What I want to do now is fit this up into the forejaw and turn the bottom side of it down to something round. So I need to be able to put the clamp this section up into the bottom of it. I think I'll machine something up in here to make this a little more solid, so when it gets clamped on it can't crush up. But anyway, that'll be the next step, but that'll have to wait till tomorrow. Alrighty, so it's all come out pretty good this time. It's a nice gap in there now. This is nice and stiff. You can tighten it up a bit more yet. So that'll give me a bit of movement for fine tuning the shot. And he's printed up these 4 little wheels for me, but they're a bit rough around the edges, so I think I might put a screw through the whole lot of them and just put them in the lathe and just run the file over the edge, because I'll move this camera up. Actually a little bit of, it's a big mozzie, there's a little bit of a tight fit in there, some dags on the edges of it, they won't roll freely in there. So I'll need to clean them up just a little bit so they'll run freely up and down in there. I think it'll be a good old Uncle Bobby. Alrighty, so I've drilled and tapped the hole in here and checked that thing will run up and down the channel nicely with the little wheels on it, and I've got that right. Decided I wouldn't turn all this stuff on either side of this into scrap and just throw it in the bin, so I cut them off in the bandsaw. So time to turn this down. Could take a while. I'll bring him back later. Do me. Beautiful. Quick chamfer on the outside here and we're done. Alrighty, I had a really rough night last night. I got hardly any sleep because I spent all night thinking about how I'm going to retain this thing up in there. And I still haven't quite decided how I'm going to do it, but it's bar day today, so I might go and have a few beers and think about it some more. Anyway, there we have it. That's my trolley, truck, whatever you want to call it, to mount up in the rail, in those rails. So all I need to do now is figure out how I'm going to retain this. I think I'll machine up something to push down inside it, and maybe even a sleeve to go for the outside of it, and put it up in here, and then just drill a hole in here. If I put a sleeve over the outside, I can put a groove in the outside of that, and then put a hole in here with a bolt in it to retain it and still allow it to turn. But anyway, I've got 2 pieces of aluminium I ordered coming. I thought they'd be here this afternoon, but looks like they might be here tomorrow now. But anyway, once they get here, I'll use a piece of that to do something with this. Well, I don't know what the hell just happened then. I thought I was recording stuff and looked up to say something, noticed the camera wasn't on. Just turned it so off. So I checked to see what I recorded. The answer was almost nothing. But anyway, so I'll go through it again. This showed up just after I went to the bar, about 10 minutes after I left. They called to say they were coming. A bit of a sombre afternoon at the bar yesterday, and we found out that one of our number had died of a heart attack on New Year's Eve, so that was a bit of a sad afternoon. But anyway, I decided just before I left what I was going to do, and I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier. I'll use a bit of this is 5/8 round, so I bought to do something else, but what I'll do is I'll cut this off down in here, make it a little shorter because there's plenty of room down there. Put a bolt through here to hold it in place. Then I'll turn this down to fit down inside there. Just clean this up enough so it's nice and clean. Bore this out to accommodate that diameter there and stop about there somewhere. And then from the other side I will just counter bore it and put a cap head, Loctite it in place. I might even use a piece of oil thread and a nylock nut so I don't have to Loctite it, so that it can swivel in there, and the bolt in here will retain this in there. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've already drilled this a 6mm and 10mm, so I'll get out a boring bar and I'll bore that out to maybe 15.8, something like that, because this thing's measuring 16.1, so I'll just give myself a little bit to clean it up. Actually, I'm going to turn this off and I'll come back to you. I just had a thought. I'm going to take one of the readouts off the mill and fit it to this, see if I still get this ridiculous jumping around that I've got. That'll tell me whether it's the sender or you know, the sender here, the reader, or the actual display unit. Alrighty, let's just shove the 10mm sender drill up in there because the head of a 6mm bolt cap head is 10mm. We'll just clean it out a bit and flatten the bottom out. Beautiful. Just chamfer that a bit and we're done. And that's that part finished. Alrighty, so I'll drill a 5mm hole in there and tap an M6 thread in it and we're done with this bit. Alrighty, so while you weren't looking, I drilled and tapped that hole in there. Right, so that fits up in there like that. Put a bolt in there to retain that. This will fit down in there. I'll press it down in. Oh, what have we done there? Made that too big. I've made that 12mm, should be 10. What an idiot. Oh well, I'll put it back in there and turn it down today. Alrighty, so while you weren't looking, I turned that round and machined that down to 10mm to fit up on there. So I'll cut that off a bit. I don't want it sticking down there too far. I'll cut that off and fit that up to that, and then we can do something about getting the rails fitted up into the ceiling, and we're nearly done. If you've been enjoying this video up until this point, I'd really like it if you, well, I'd be pleased and happy if you gave it a great big thumbs up, smash that like. Also, if you'd like to help out with the channel and keep the ball rolling, consider becoming a patron, or if you don't want to be a patron but like to assist maybe once or twice every now and then, have a look at that thanks button down the bottom down there and click on that and donate a little. I'd be really grateful. Every little bit helps. Just when I thought I was finished, and this camera's hanging off the ceiling at the moment, looking down at the mill. I've still got one more part to make. I forgot all about it. I need to make a thumb screw to hold the camera to this plastic bracket that we made. Alrighty, so while you weren't looking this morning, I knocked up this thumb screw to attach the camera with. It's 1/4 20 UNF. Just bought a stainless steel cap head to use in there and then Loctited it in there. But that'll do the job. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to make up some extensions to drop this down. It's to do with being a good 6 inches lower than it is, so I'll get on with that. Nearly there. Well, there it is. Camera's hanging from the ceiling up there, and this camera's recording the camera over there, the one that's recording me. I need to put another rail in yet, but I'll get that done, because that'll allow me to bring it further over this way when I'm machining on the lathe, pointing back that way. But it should allow me to get some much better shots, some more overhead shots and things like that. Plus I won't be tripping over that damn tripod all the time. So I hope you enjoyed it, and next up I'll be making those little aluminium parts for my mate that printed up that little bracket for me, and I'll be getting on with that. So once again, thanks for watching, and I hope you did enjoy it, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.